The long-anticipated and second act of Wicked has finally dropped after a year of fans waiting. Now, I'll just say right now, I did really like the first movie. I thought the performances were great, and as somebody who hasn't flat out seen the musical, I thought it translated very well to the screen, especially the defying gravity sequence. I personally thought it was one of the best scenes of last year when it came out. I thought it was really magnificently crafted. You could tell how powerful it is on stage, and they totally brought all that magic onto the big screen, and I really enjoyed it. I also thought that the movie overall was pretty fun for what it was. You know, I'm not too familiar, but I did like the story. I like the overall premise that's put together for this, and I understand why there's a lot of fans. But with all that being said, how does the second one fare? Wicked for Good takes place where the last one leaves off, with Elphaba being marked as an enemy of Oz and its citizen. Like the first one, the story is told from two different perspectives, one from the cast-out witch played by Cynthia Erivo, and the prissy symbol of goodness, Glinda, played by Ariana Grande. There's a bunch of other stuff that happens that I can't get into, but that's pretty much the starting point, and it devolved from there. But ultimately, I think that the story is extremely creative on its own. I think that having the relationship between these two witches, especially with preconceived caricatures in The Wizard of Oz as well, so having this story told out in front of us is really cool, and I think that the relationship between the two characters and this sort of love-hate situation that they have in the first one, and it's really expanded upon in the second part, especially when things become more and more dire. And I really like that at the end it kind of goes full circle without spoiling too much. So let's talk about the performances. So this really makes or breaks any musical, any movie in reality, but really when it comes to musicals, especially on stage or on screen, it's important that the leads are carrying their weight. And in this one, I think that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are still very impressive in their characters as the two main leads. I thought that they were excellent in the first one, and in this one, they still are. I think off camera, they're a little annoying, both of them, but I can't hate on the talent that they both have. Both incredible singers, both very good actors, and I feel like they did do casting well when it came to these two, Glinda and Elphaba, the main two of the story. Still very impressive. And then as the semi-highlights, I thought that Jonathan Bailey as Fevero, I always say his name wrong, but as the love interest of the movie and sort of one of the guards, I think that he did a pretty good job. I thought that he sang pretty well and acted pretty well, so pretty decent. Ethan Slater's Bach, he impressed me later on, sort of with his transformation. I thought that in the first movie he was kind of whatever, but in this one he has a little more to do, especially later on. I thought while he doesn't act too much in this movie, like Jonathan Bailey's character, I think Bach is more of an interesting character in this second half of the movie. And then Marissa Bode as Nessa Rose, she's a little more interesting in this one as well. I wouldn't say more likable, but she has more to do in this one than she did in the first one, in my opinion. So all those are pretty decent and pretty solid in this one. And then we get to the lowlights. So this was where I may lose some people, but have at it in the comments. It's totally open. First off, I had a problem with Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible. So she's pretty much the villain in this movie. She's one of the professors at the Oz Academy, the Wizards Academy that they have, Shiz, I believe. And the more you learn about her, the more you realize she's just an evil character. So Michelle Yeoh, I think that she's a great actor. I do like her previous roles. I think that she has a long history in film, and you know, no disrespect there, but in this one she just seemed to be struggling. I thought in the last movie she had more of a presence. I thought that she really had that intimidation factor, but in this one, I don't know what it was. It felt like she was struggling to get her lines out, and when she sang, it just didn't sound great. I don't know, maybe I didn't notice it in the first movie that much because it's the same actress playing it, same singing. But yeah, I don't know, in this one it just was a lot more impactful, and not in a good way. She just seemed to be struggling throughout it, in my opinion. It sucks because she was good in the first one. And continuing on, I also had a problem with Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard of Oz himself. So he is sort of a quirky character. He shows up in the latter half of the first part, and then it's continued here. He has a lot more screen time in this one as the story kind of transpires more, and you learn more about his motives and what he's been doing and everything going on with that character. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, once again, I have not seen the musical, so I don't know how Oz is supposed to be. The Wizard of Oz himself, I don't know how he's supposed to be portrayed. I don't know what his kind of archetype is. I'm just going off by the movie. So, I don't know, I thought that he didn't act all that great. It felt like he was trying really hard to do something, but he just came across as being Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum is very unique, and I like Jeff Goldblum, don't get me wrong, he's quite the character off camera. He's had some good roles throughout his career. I'm not doubting that. But he is one of those actors where he really just plays Jeff Goldblum in almost every single movie. He just plays himself. And in this movie, it seems like they just rolled the camera and he was playing himself. Is that how Wizard of Oz is supposed to be? I don't know. That's the thing. I don't have that to go off of. If this is exactly how the wizard is supposed to be portrayed, then he did a good job. But just judging off the straw, looking at this movie for the first time and having the story told as is on the big screen, I don't know. He didn't do it for me. I thought he just seemed to be struggling to really have any kind of sense of emotion. I didn't really feel much for his character, and when he's singing, his singing wasn't all that great either. I know that he has a jazz background in real life, but when it comes to singing, he's not the greatest singer either, just like Madame Morrible. So I feel like if we're gonna cast people for musicals, they better have good musical ability, not just decent, but good. And I don't know what happened, because in the first movie, I didn't really pay too much attention to that. I didn't really think that they were that bad, but in this movie, both Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum, their musical abilities are lacking. And this could have been intensified because they have a lot more screen time in this one, and they sing more than they do in the first part. But yeah, I don't know, this one just didn't, them two didn't really do it for me, and I respect them both as actors, and they both are characters off screen. But yeah, I don't know, they seem to be struggling, both of them. And then, as a sort of an honorable mention, super side character, this person may have had maybe 1 minute of screen time throughout the whole movie, but I don't like Bowen Yang. I think that his face is very punchable, and I just find him extremely annoying. I don't know, he's just one of those people I find him annoying, and I don't know why he's in this movie. Again, 1 minute of screen time, if anything, but even in that 1 minute, I couldn't wait for him to get off the screen. Just awful. I don't know. One of those actors for me. But moving over to the visuals, this one also has incredible visuals, just like the first movie. The set designs, the props, the colors of Oz, everything really pops. Even the CGI of all the animals are extremely well done. I thought that the first movie had brilliant animation and visuals, and this one is no different. I think every single set, every single prop that they use is really on brand and just really makes the world pop. It feels like a living, breathing city, Oz does, and every other place around it too. So yeah, when it comes to the actual visuals and the cinematography, it's really good. It's a really good looking movie when it comes down to it, and I had no problem with that in the first one either, and this one is the same thing. Top of the line animators and everything, and just props and sets and everything. Brilliant job on that part. And then when it gets to the actual singing aspect, besides the people that I mentioned, Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum, I think that the singing from Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are excellent. Just they have great vocal range, and Ariana Grande has more of an operatic voice, Cynthia Erivo has that powerhouse voice, and they mesh very well, and it's just fantastic singing. But the actual songs of the second part were a little lacking for me. Again, as somebody who's seeing it for the first time in the second half of the musical on screen, none of the songs really clicked. In the first one, there's 3-4 songs throughout the whole movie that I could say, these really stuck with me, these I remember, this was impactful, especially the last song, Defying Gravity. But in this one, there's maybe 1 or 2 songs in the entire second half that I thought, okay, I'm gonna remember this. This is gonna leave an impact. No, it wasn't like that. It's unfortunate, because this is supposed to be the closing of the story. This is supposed to be wrapping it up, and it's supposed to be making an impact. And I can definitely tell that this one didn't really translate as well on the big screen. And that's the biggest problem that I have, especially in the final act of this movie and the musical. I could tell that maybe on stage this is excellent, but this one doesn't really end off with a bang. This one doesn't have that Defying Gravity moment in the second half for some reason, which is what I would come to expect, because there's a lot of moments where they can really belt out these big songs with everyone singing. It could be this big thing, but it doesn't really end like that. And that's one of the biggest problems I had. It just was missing that magic that the first one had in terms of the music, and it just ends up not really translating that well on the big screen. I'm just kind of left underwhelmed. That's the biggest issue I had with this movie. It's just underwhelming. It didn't have that magic from the first one. I think No Good Deed was the only song that I really thought was great and had reminiscing factors from the first act, but that was the only song that I can really think of that I thought, wow, this is excellent. So yeah, that's the main issue I have with the movie, and then not to spoil it, but the actual story logic also didn't make too much sense. I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but there's a few things that I thought story-wise not super smartly thought out, but ultimately I think it's entertaining for what it is. If you've enjoyed the first one, you most likely will enjoy this one, but overall a little underwhelmed, slightly disappointed at this one. I wish they did end off with a bigger number and a big bang rather than sort of a whimper. So overall, it's a solid movie. It's fun, but a little disappointing. I'm gonna give this one a very decent 7.3 out of 10. I think that feels right. But let me know below if you're a fan of the musical and the movie, and let me know if you liked it or you disliked it. And if you want to see more like this, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Placid5 signing off.